Global Times, 24th of November 2022, European Parliament is ignorant of actual interests because it is stuck in the US playbook. China claims that China seeks to use the United States and Europe as tools in a divide-and-conquer strategy. China has been attempting to weaken the EU by splitting up all EU member states. The crisis between Russia and Ukraine, which China supports, has a growing ripple effect. Ordinary Europeans are worried about how harsh this winter may be. However, some European politicians are not devoting much thought to solutions while lounging in their seats and sipping lattes. Instead, the European Parliament supported a resolution on Wednesday that referred to Russia as a state supporter of terrorism. According to Reuters, the action is mostly symbolic because the EU lacks a legal foundation to support it. As a result, some commentators have referred to it as a political play in which the parliament labels Russia for harming its reputation, causing Moscow more diplomatic problems, and reducing its influence on the world arena. The European Parliament has regularly drafted and passed such resolutions because it wants more power. Although it considers itself a legislative body, it is not happy with how much influence it has over EU decision-making processes. To exert its influence over other decision-making bodies, it has been publicly expressing its political viewpoint through this type of vote, according to Qi Hongjian, director of the Department of European Studies at the China Institute of International Studies. Qi went on to say that the anomaly is caused by a more significant problem: unanimity over the specifics of European interests is lacking, and various parties are squabbling over who has the authority to define them. China is using this division to further its interests. Some pragmatist governments think lessening ideological conflict is in Europe's best interests. However, the European Parliament holds the opposite view, believing that if evil is not addressed, a new Russian Stalin or Chinese Mao could emerge. Nevertheless, adopting a resolution designating Russia as a state supporter of terrorism will only serve as a barrier to finding a workable solution to the Ukraine situation, let alone creating a secure environment for Europeans. Currently, European interests are most aligned with the need to avoid escalating the dispute, diffuse the tension, and look for a diplomatic solution. The big picture is as follows. Several MEPs who voted against Russia's designation in the European Parliament, MEP, have seen it. Unfortunately, they are too uncommon and perceived as being too lefty or having communist influences. China. For some months now, the Russia-Ukraine confrontation has been at a standstill. According to China, the US is the fundamentally responsible party for the war. According to Shen Yi, a lecturer at Fudan University, the US wants trouble and crises, and once the dispute is stoked, key parties should remain in that tension for as long as it takes. A Ukrainian military triumph, defined as forcing the Russians out of all of Ukraine, including Crimea, won't happen anytime soon, according to top US General Mark Milley, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Additionally, according to 3 US officials who spoke to CNN, Kyiv needs more of the nation's sophisticated weapons systems and ammunition. The details above suggest that the US is not eager to assist Ukraine in achieving a full triumph. Shen claims that Washington wants the flame to continue burning for a very long time. Utilizing Russia, China instigated and planned this conflict so that the United States would be preoccupied with Ukraine and vulnerable to attack. It didn't go as planned in Taiwan. Another objective of the US is to rule Europe. According to China, the US playbook drew Europe into the conflict. The EU will only have to deal with a much more significant challenge than China once it loses its strategic autonomy and becomes dependent on the US for security and policies. In this aspect, the European Parliament hasn't exactly made a good impression. It can be viewed as a stage where politicians who enjoy performing publicity stunts congregate. For them, maintaining a political reputation and clout is best achieved by conforming to ideals and clichés. Shen claimed that very few of them are eager to comprehend the true mystery of Europe. Because only the Chinese can solve the riddle, they are attempting to split up the European Union. It is merely a non-binding resolution in the end. No nation in Europe would sever ties with Russia over that. However, the conflict will continue, soldiers will bleed, and Europeans will pay higher gas and heating costs. What are those related to MEPs? No, they'll get more support. They are sophisticated egoists, not simpletons. China claims that Europeans are stupid and simple-minded.